off with probably my most favorite part of this meal prep because I love quinoa and I'm always looking for ways to incorporate it into sweet recipes, not just as quinoa flour, but just something a little more exciting, more versatile. So I came up with quinoa porridge. I then looked on the internet and apparently there are, I don't know, like 80,000 recipes, but this is something that I'm proud of because I made it, my whole family loved it. So ever since then we eat it almost on a weekly basis. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw my quinoa straight into my little Pyrex pot. 2 cups of water. So this is my version of arroz con leche. We eat that here a lot, but I wanted to substitute the rice for the quinoa. Next, I have fresh almond milk, and this almond milk is my favorite part of this recipe because it makes it really nice and creamy. So I'm using 1 cup of almond milk.
I'm adding pink Himalayan salt to the quinoa as well as some cinnamon sticks and some cinnamon powder. I just really love the flavor of the cinnamon. I'm also adding high quality cacao. This is something that I source from Nicaragua, so I have it very fresh. And I also am adding some ground flax seeds, which is going to help to add some fiber, and it's also going to help to make it really thick and creamy.
The secret ingredient to this recipe is the vanilla. The vanilla we get here is intense. It's pure vanilla and it tastes like heaven. So I'm just gonna add a drop, probably the equivalent to a teaspoon. So I'm just gonna add the final ingredient, which is a 1/2 cup of agave. So for my breakfast containers, I have these little glass ramekins and they have a little plastic lid. I prefer using glass as opposed to plastic just because it's better for the environment, and I just prefer the idea of eating out of glass and not a plastic Tupperware, especially because sometimes plastic can absorb colors and smells and tastes in the plastic, so you don't want that to happen. So to add a little layer of fruit, something fresh, because we do have a nice rich dark chocolate quinoa, I wanted to make it a little bit lighter. So I made a little concoction of pitahaya and stevia just in my blender. That to each little ramekin right over the top. So it'll sit nicely right on top of the quinoa. So you have your layer of fruit and then your quinoa porridge. So for my lunch, I'm gonna be making one of my favorite things. It is jalapeño tofu. It's nice and spicy, but it's so good. If you don't like spicy, you can always take out the seeds from the jalapeno, or you could replace the jalapeno with some green pepper so that you can get some nice flavor from it. So into my pan, I'm just gonna throw in a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of onion. I have some diced onion because I'm using it for some pico de gallo and for my tofu. So I go ahead and I chop up a ton of onion, a lot of garlic, just to not have to be cutting up things every time you want to go and cook something. I'm using culantro for my pico de gallo recipe. If you're not familiar with this, it's a cousin of cilantro and it tastes amazing. It's lemony and cilantro-y, but better. I'm just gonna add a healthy pinch of salt, sal y limon, of course, my culantro, and now I'm just gonna add lots of lime to this. So that's 2 limes. And I'm also gonna add a little bit of jalapeño. To the tofu, I'm gonna add the rest of my jalapeno. This is probably the equivalent of 1.5 jalapenos because mine are pretty small. But you can add dried chili flakes if you don't have jalapeno. Again, if you don't like spicy food, you can just add some red pepper or green pepper to give it some flavor. And the last ingredient is some tomato paste. So my tofu is ready, and I have some refried beans, and that's gonna be part of our lunch prep. All right, dinner time. We're gonna make some creamed kale. This is something that I actually made for Thanksgiving for my friends in 2016, and they all loved it. And I've never stopped making it ever since then. So in my pan, I just have olive oil, and I'm taking 3 big bunches of kale. So part of this dish is gonna be some charred peppers. For my cashew cream, I have onion, cashews, fresh lime juice, because that's gonna be what makes it tangy. I'm using 1 cup of cashews, but you can use almonds, you can use pistachios are really nice, you can use macadamia nuts. And I like adding fresh onion to it. You don't have to. I'm adding the fresh onion because I like it when it gives it that bit of a bite from the onion. I love the flavor of raw onion. I'm also gonna use some garlic and onion powder as well as nutritional yeast. We all love nutritional yeast. If you're watching this, it's probably something that you definitely have added to your cooking. So now I'm gonna add a lot of salt, because this definitely has to be something salty because it's gonna be a sauce, so you want it to have a lot of flavor. And of course, I'm gonna add my limon, salt and limon in everything. I'm using 1 full lime. You could also use apple cider vinegar if you don't have lime. You could also use yellow lemon. My peppers are charring, and I'm just gonna throw them into a bowl. Now I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of almond milk. So thick and rich and velvety. All right, I'm just gonna leave this cooking while I start on my chickpeas. A little bit of olive oil, garlic and onion. I'm just gonna season my onion and garlic. It's getting a little bit of color now, so I'm gonna add my chickpeas. Look at the skin that forms on that side from the pan. That, I swear to God, is just like cheese. It's so good. We have come to the end of this epic meal prep. These recipes are so delicious, affordable, and easy to make. I made all of this in less than an hour and a half, and that's a lot of time to cook a lot of food. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel because it really helps me out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.